Welcome to D-Lab on the bench. Today we have a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe amplifier with a complaint of low output and high distortion. The owner took it on himself to go ahead and replace the 6L6 tubes, and it didn't help. So let's see what else could be haunting this old Fender. So let me show you what's going on. As I said, the owner is complaining about low power and distorted audio. So what I have is an audio generator hooked up to the input. Okay, I've got my scope right across the speaker output jack, and we're going to watch on the oscilloscope as I bring up the input. All right, let's take a look at the sine wave. So you can see it's extremely clipped and distorted, which is usually an indication of a problem with the inverter tube. So let's take a look at that. So I suspect an issue with the inverter tube, and the first thing I'm going to check are the voltages on the 12AX7 inverter. Alright, that feeds the two output tubes. So if the inverter tube is not functioning correctly, you would see that type of distortion and clipping that we noted on the scope. So here is the 12AX7 on the old circuit board. Pin 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are connected together because that's filament. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? 6 is one plate. So as you can see, we got 211 volts on that plate. Now 1, he's in here a little bit deeper. Look at there. I pretty much have nothing. A few volts. So if you look at your schematic, you'll see that pin 6 has a 100K resistor, and pin 1 should have an 82K resistor, right? And they both go back to the same source. So right here is the one going to pin 6. The other side of that goes to about 390 volts. So I'm guessing that the 82K buried back there is open. So let's kill this thing. We'll make sure the power supplies are discharged, and then I'm going to buzz it out with a meter. The amp is unplugged, and I verified that the voltages are dead, so it's safe to do some ohm checks. So right up front here, off of pin 6, okay, you got this 100K resistor. So it goes from pin 6 to the 100K, then this goes to the power supply. There he is, 98 point something, so that's good. So we know the power supply is on this side, right? It comes back here to that resistoroid, and that should be the 82K. That's feeding pin 1. You can see it's wide open. Now if I go to pin 1 on the other side, you can see I have continuity. So obviously the 82K resistor is open going to the inverter tube. So we've narrowed down that we have this nickel resistor that's bad. But unfortunately, if you take a look, the circuit board here is mounted by these screws. 2 of them are accessible, but the rear ones are not, without pulling out this circuit board, which turns into quite the mess. So to change that nickel part, you've got 2 hours labor ahead of you. So in case you're wondering, yes, I did check the tubes and they're fine, okay? So to make easier work of this, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to remove this circuit board, okay? I'm going to take a new 82K resistor, and I'm going to come back here and I'm going to install it on this side of the board. There's no harm with that, okay? The other resistor is open. This guy would do the job, and it'll save you 2 hours of labor. So there's our new 82K resistor installed on the back of the circuit board. So now let's recheck the voltages on the inverter tube. Okay. Sorry about the little bit of creaking of my tripod. I'm going to turn the standby on. Try to get in here without frying myself. Alright, so here was the missing voltage. That's just my meter probe, 247 there. And here's the other side, 247. Super cool. Now, let's hook up my audio generator again. You hear that? Let's pan over to the scope. Alright, I'm going to do this quickly so I don't irritate you too much. We'll zoom in on the scope and bring up the level. You can see she's back to life. Nice clean sine wave. That issue is fixed, but I found another that I don't like. I've got nothing connected to this amp. But you hear that? She's got some hum. If you take a look here, it's got those notoriously bad filter caps in it. So I'm going to have to change these out, because obviously one of them is sick. So to prove that the filter cap's bad, I have jumped in an F&T one there, hanging in the breeze. Turn on standby. Let's check our hum level. So I'm in there, I'm going to crank her full bore. And you can see the hum is gone, so the cap is bad. If you look at the positive end of this main filter cap, it is slightly bulged out. Okay. Plus, if you have any of these amps that have these IC type filter capacitors in it, just change them out, because they're always troublemakers. So I will be changing all three. So to change these caps, you're going to have to pull all these knobs off. These nuts here, there's some screws on the old circuits board. She'll pull back and flip up. It's not all that bad, but if it was an old Fender with an eyelet board, you could just pop them in on top. I've got the board loose. You'll find there's a lot of resistance when you're trying to push it back to get her to flip up, and you have to make sure to clear these shafts of these pots, right? Otherwise you can damage the board, so you got to be super careful. But this one's ready. I'm going to flip her up, get those old caps out, and get the new ones in. Alright, there's the new F&T caps installed in the amp. Now, this is a really good time, since you have the board pulled, to check other connections, especially on those two resistors right there. They have a tendency to heat. So if you were to take a look backside here, there's the connections on those resistors, and yeah, there's cracks right around where those leads are coming through. So it's a good time to resolder those. Check all the connections on your pots and input jacks. So as I pointed out in past videos, now is the perfect time to give this front panel a cleaning, because the knobs are gone and switches are retracted. So you can get in here and really spiffy it up, and your customer will be very happy that you took the additional time to do that. Alright, all the new caps are installed. Turn on standby. Master's up. Here's the volume. Go right down with the speaker. No hum at all. Ready to go. So in case there's any question, when I showed the hum level inside of the chassis, you get interactance with the camera. So here it is fully assembled, and I'm going to bring the volume up full bore. So you can see there's very little to no hum with the amp. It's right back pretty much to factory specs for the power supply. Alright, mission complete. Got the Fender up and running again. Now, it came in with that simple inverter issue, but you also have to give things a little look over in case there's underlying problems. In this case, it was the filter caps. And usually when I see those Illinois type in there, I change them anyway. But it needed to be done, and now the amp is up and running, and we're going to have one happy customer. So if you have these issues, now you know what to look for. Good luck.